Muddled Morning Musings, Take 2. So, when I wake up in the morning, I sometimes just sit on my bed, and it is this practice that often brings ideas and inspirations for the day. This morning, suddenly, I clearly saw in my mind's eye the name of Sibyl Gunn's Köchlin, along with a much younger image of her face. And this is my former teacher, so I decided, let's Google her. I actually use DuckDuckGo. And this is what I found. My former teacher is now the owner of the Intercultural Education and Training, trainer of trainers, Triple T, training the trainers. Wow, what a tongue breaker. From my childhood years as a global nomad, I kept my curiosity and deep interest in all things intercultural. As a teacher, I gained a lot of experience and insight into the issues of migrant children, young people, and their families face. After taking a degree in intercultural communication and leadership, I founded Triple T, training the trainers. I specialize in all intercultural aspects of education, teaching, learning, curricula, and work with organizations and individuals, enhancing cultural sensitivity and potential. Other fields of my work include teacher trainings in Tanzania, translations of various texts in fields such as gender, development, cooperation and migration, assessment of didactic methodological competencies for lecturers, and I speak German, English, French, Spanish and Italian. Wow, not bad. Very interesting. She is actually in the human resources position of this organization for human rights. Fascinating. And she joined this national committee in 2011. This is interesting. This is exactly the year when I left the cult. And you can actually contact them. So that's what I did. I wrote specifically to her. I'm not sure if she will remember me. It's such a long time ago. I went to school 5th grade to 8th grade. That was from 1985 to 1988 until I changed school. So I'm not sure she will remember me. Let's see. So what I wrote about was my struggles as a lost generation autistic. When you grow up struggling, not knowing you are autistic. I know many adult autistics have gone through this, and those who are not yet diagnosed still struggle on. I tried to keep it as indirect as possible, not accusing anybody, even though school was definitely traumatic for me, as there was bullying involved and teachers not understanding my needs, but they didn't know, I didn't know, nobody knew, so yeah, you cannot really blame anybody. Nobody talked about autism or selective mutism and my difficulties understanding things correctly because of acoustics with so much background noise in a busy classroom. But then how this was labeled as not being present, being shy, not being interested. And I also mentioned how autistics are very sensitive to their environment and how much I thrive during this lockdown because I am in a protected environment now at home with very little noise exposure, weird odors, and few impressions and very little social interaction, which is very beneficial to my nervous system and my health, because obviously I'm not stressed in this kind of environment. It's autism friendly most of the time. And I also know how to occupy myself. I am quite busy being creative because this creativity finally can come out. I'm not exhausted or stressed from work and in a relaxed state of mind and body, of course, ideas flow better, right? As Dr. Luke Bearden said, it's the environment. Autism plus environment equals outcome. Yeah, so I also stated the masterwork by Lea Gerstenkorn. I frequently go to her for advice. She is very good in what she does. She is herself autistic. And she described perfectly what we autistics struggle with at work. It's the light, the background noises. When you get instructions that are not clear, it will stress you out because you are not sure what to do. Social interaction that can be stressful. And you are also exposed to perfume or aftershave or a customer who didn't shower, things like that. And those are small everyday stressors at work, and therefore autistics are just way more stressed because of sensory overload. Those are the external environmental stressors every autistic struggles with, which then, of course, will lead to cortisol release. And chronic high cortisol, that's not very healthy. When your body is in a state of cell danger response, what do you think will be the result of that? According to Dr. Robert Naviaux, the cell danger response is triggered by different stressors, mitochondria and danger sensors. Some researchers argue that the mitochondria are the danger sensors for host organisms, having evolved over 2 billion years to identify and communicate signs of danger to the cells within which they reside. The signaling is simple and yet highly refined, involving a series of switches and control cellular energy and thus cellular life or death. When danger is present, energy resources are conserved and the immune system fighters are unleashed. When danger is resolved, normal functioning can resume. If the danger is not resolved and the immune battles must rage on, the mitochondria begin the complicated process of reallocating resources until the battle is won or the decision is made to institute what can only be described as suicide, cell death. Cell death is a normal occurrence in cell cycle of life. Cells are born and die for all manner of reasons. But when cell death occurs from mitochondrial injury, it is messy and evokes even broader immune responses, setting a cascade in motion that is difficult to arrest. And as if on the battlefield, the host army is understaffed and under-resourced. No matter how hard the immune fighters battle, the fight will be lost, maybe not immediately, but eventually. All sorts of mechanisms will be employed to reallocate and reinforce needed battlements, but they will be for naught, further depleting already scarce host resources, until the decision is made within the mitochondria to begin pulling back, withdrawing, and ultimately casting the final orders of cell death. We can ask questions like, what resources are missing that would allow the immune army to fend off the danger once and for all, or what could heal the damaged cells, scavenge toxicants and oxidants, or recalibrate mitochondrial energy production? When we reframe the discussion in this way, we open the door to a deeper understanding of health and disease. It's the environment. External environment will definitely have a very big influence on the internal environment. It's the same principle, as above, so below. And then it's as without, so within. Environment has influence on your inner state. Actually, common sense, right? For autistics, this is even more true. And so many autistics battle with health issues, so-called comorbidities. Why do you think that is? Because their environment is too stressful. It can lead to all those things. Mitochondria control energy. There is no other resource more important to the living organism than energy. Consider the most consistent sickness behaviors across all illness include lethargy, fatigue, sleepiness, often followed by muscle and body aches, anorexia, or the loss of interest in eating. The reduction in energy is purely a function of mitochondrial resources. The achy muscles are moderated by mitochondrial retractions of energy and the loss of appetite too. Mitochondrial diminishments. Cell danger response biology. The new science that connects environmental health with mitochondria and the rising tide of chronic illness. By Dr. Robert Naviaux. The cell danger response, CDR, is a universal response to environmental threat or injury. Once triggered, healing cannot be completed until the choreographed stages of the CDR are returned to an updated state of readiness. Although the CDR is a cellular response, it has the power to change human thought and behavior, child development, physical fitness and resilience, fertility, and the susceptibility of entire populations to disease. Mitochondria regulate the CDR by monitoring and responding to the physical, chemical, and microbial conditions within and around the cell. In this way, mitochondria connect cellular health to environmental health. What does mitochondrial dysfunction look like? Everything and nothing at the same time. Mitochondrial dysfunction doesn't lead to one clear-cut disease, even when there are clear genetic markers, but predisposes one to everything. Where mitochondrial damage is felt and the subsequent immune events present is complex and dependent upon the interactions among the host organism's innate predispositions, environmental exposures, and nutritional status, with the latter two significantly influencing each other. The microbial composition of the host, especially in the gut, but also on the skin, and the various mucous membranes that interface with the outside world, can also moderate or trigger the danger signals that lead to mitochondrial dysfunction. More often than not, though, mitochondrial damage is felt where oxygen demands are greatest: the brain, the heart, the gut, the muscles. Diseases that are currently identified discretely might all have common symptoms: the mitochondria. Certainly, chronic fatigue should be considered mitochondrial in nature. I don't think there is a more clear-cut example of mitochondrial dysfunction than severe fatigue, muscle pain, and weakness. The question becomes, from where does the dysfunction originate, and how can it be fixed or healed? And for autistics in particular, an autism-friendly environment will have a very strong influence on their health and well-being. So, I just voiced my concern for autistic needs at the workplace and how little support there is in Switzerland. Yeah, so we will see what they will answer. I just wrote about all of this and how difficult it is in Switzerland to actually get support for your autistic needs. At work in particular. So we will see. I don't know how they will react or if she will write back. No idea. Let's see. But it's exciting and I just wanted to share this.